Well, good afternoon on an actual Tuesday.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome. Michael and Israel here with another Tech Tuesday. Go ahead and start dropping your questions in if you've got them. I grabbed a few things that look kind of interesting on the old interwebs, people asking questions. Um, but of course, we'd prefer to talk to you about what you're interested in. Last week it was electronics and trolling motors.
Yes.
So who knows? Whatever you guys want to this week. Anything interesting going on? We got a little birthday in the house.
Yeah, Katie's had a birthday.
Katie, the boat lady. So happy. I guess if you're in the area and you come on down, you probably still get a piece of cake. But
right. We've got a bunch.
I don't know.
We've had some customers bring cake too.
I have a feeling once the technicians hit their second win this afternoon, it probably won't last all that long. But so happy birthday to Katie. Anything? Just chugging along in service.
Yep.
Getting some boats in slowly but surely. It looks, and then they're kind of going out just about as fast as they're.
And we got some. I think we got a little small event going on this week, Saturday, at the
Yep.
Cast for Cancer.
Yep.
Which I'll actually be fishing in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Imagine that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's breaking news, folks.
Breaking news.
That's
you heard
a
it
big
here
deal.
first.
So, yeah, he's talking about the Casting for Cancer that's every Labor Day weekend. The Man Up Gadsden, Dr. Pirani. So that's Saturday all day. So if you're a fisherman, you're looking for something to do, even if you're not a very good fisherman.
we're gonna have to, I think it's in the air a little bit now, but I think we're having some like mosquito beans there or something.
Yep. And maybe the new ZXR19
Yes.
might be down there available for folks to check
Yeah,
out.
I'll be taking it down there.
So,
early into Marion.
but yeah, guys, if you are looking for something to do, that's on Neely Henry. It's a great cause for the cancer work that Man Up Gadsden does, and that's a tournament. I think it's their 10th anniversary. So huge shout out to Dr. Pirani and all the work that they do. So awesome. Well, I can't wait to see pictures.
Yeah.
So
I told the poor guy that like asked me to fish it with him. I was like, yeah, I mean, it's, hope you can catch some fish.
well, at least it'll be fun.
We did pre-fish a little bit this week. We caught some fish and pre-fishing.
Right.
So
Well, I won't ask you where you were.
Somewhere out. I don't know. Somewhere out in the river.
Somewhere out in the river. All right. Well, guys, I'm not seeing any questions popping in, so I'm gonna have to start pulling one up on my own. I don't think there's much else to update that's been going on around here. Let's pull this one up.
Ooh, that's a balancer. I can already tell you what that is.
Yeah, so let's pull this up. So it's a 2017 F-150 autopsy. It was run in a skiff. Always had low oil pressure according to YDS, but not low enough for an alarm, or maybe the alarm was broken, can't remember. My question is, do the casting marks indicate the fiber gear problem?
Well, no. It will indicate when that was made. The fiber gear is still there, even from the old to the new. It's just they've made improvements on that system. Typically, what happens when you get this is you've hit something with the lower unit. So that thing is spinning twice as fast as the crank is spinning.
Okay.
And so if you're running, wide open throttle and you whack something on these engines, a lot of times it'll strip that gear. And when it strips that gear, all the fibers go into the crankcase, and then it gets on the bottom of the oil sump pickup. And I've been able to successfully replace those, pull the sump, clean it out, put a new sump on there, pickup on there, and it restored the oil pressure. In some cases, it won't. So, but that is and usually you can hear it'll start whining, making a whining noise. And if yours just starts whining, it's a good time to get that looked at. And that's a 150 4-stroke Yamaha. So.
All right. Well,
Yep.
so I assume that there's some similar concept with most other motors.
Yeah, and that and
with the hitting and causing damage.
it can, yeah, and that's a pretty old technology, that balancer. It actually came off a car, some Japanese car. So, and they're pretty reliable if you don't whack something real.
So. All right. Well, I tend to find that in boats in general, if you don't whack things hard, they tend to do better.
But if you have a 150, you whack a log or something, and it starts making a whining noise, you got a problem.
Okay.
And it's going to get worse.
All right. Well, again, guys, I'm going to look through and see if anybody's dropping questions somewhere else. I am not seeing them show up in the chat. So hopefully everything's working correctly. If somebody could just drop a comment. I know I can see we got folks watching. Just drop a comment in and let me know. I'm gonna throw this up on the screen and then I'm gonna take a look and see if anybody else is trying to chat us up and ask a question. But I saw this in the Yamaha group. Just somebody asking. I'm assuming they mean it in a. Should you stay away?
Should I stay away from HPD? I don't. I mean, not really. They've had some issues, but they all have issues. So, what I would tend to stay away from is if somebody's selling one that has been on a boat that's been sitting up for 10 years, 5 years, even 3 years, and then you tend to. But that's any engine, If you get one that's been sitting up for a long time, you're gonna have fuel problems, and this particular motor is very sensitive to that. But Optimaxes are sensitive to that as well. So I would say stay away from something that's been sitting up for a long time if you don't intend on getting all that stuff serviced when you buy it. Because if you go out there and put gas in it, put oil in it, and it cranks up and runs good, eventually you're going to see some issues. Yeah. And sometimes those issues include catastrophic failures. So
catastrophic.
Yeah.
Used in boats sounds like money.
Yeah.
So.
And both of those systems run a high pressure fuel system, whether it's using an air compressor or a fuel compressor. Yamaha uses a high pressure pump, which is actually a fuel compressor. Where Optimax is where you're running an air compressor and using that air compressor to stratify the fuel mixture.
All right. Well, so, all right. I am not seeing anybody dropping questions in or comments. I guess we just have a quiet crowd today.
It rained hard.
Yeah, it rained. Maybe that's what it is. If you are watching in another group, where it's shared, you got to make sure you click into our feed, into our actual post, and drop a question in those comments. I can't see the comment on the comments, if that makes any sense. But because I've only got one more, and then we're gonna call it a day. But so just did my first 100-hour service on a 2020 Yamaha 200. I bought it used with 200 hours. That's pretty decent usage for I drained the oil, changed filter. When I refilled, expecting it to take 4.5 liters, as stated in the manual, it took nearly 5, and now between the low and normal level, but closer to low. I don't want to add too much oil. I filled it, let it sit for about 45 minutes, and ran it in the garbage can. And hey, you make do with what you got to do. Anyone with any inputs? So
number one, quit using the garbage can. It's not good. Hey, look, we got somebody.
Yeah. So what's
what I tell people, I want it between the two dots.
Okay.
That gives you enough room for if it gets some fuel dilution, it doesn't just go up crazy. So between the two dots is good. I don't speak liters, so So we're gonna do like 6.5 quarts is what I like to put in them. For the not for the initial when we put the oil in them here, we go ahead and put the full 7 quarts in it. After that, it's about 6.5 quarts, whatever that is in liters.
That's 6.1. Looks like 6.15 liters.
So you need to put 6.15. I'm not sure where.
Well, that would jive if he's saying he's putting 5 in it and it's still showing a little low.
Yeah, you need to put
that extra liter would probably make the difference.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
And what he may be looking at and not realizing it is, I don't know if he's looking at the user manual or if he's looking at 200 like I guess if this is a V6 or the 4-cylinder. So I don't know. There's a difference there. So the 4-cylinder that might be exactly what it takes in the 4-cylinder. So, but we see the V6 more than we see the 4-cylinder 200.
Okay.
So there you go.
So manuals, I guess the other thing is manuals are great, but if it's showing low, it's showing low. I mean, it's just not hiding somewhere, right?
Make sure it's not gallons instead of liters. And then there's imperial liters too. So make sure it's not imperial liters.
We're gonna stay away from.
Well, it says all that on there in the manual, so you have to pick one. You know?
Whatever you can get in the store. How about that?
Yes.
All right. Hey, Shannon, how are you? 225 OptiPop. That starts fine, but once you give it throttle, it bogs down, won't come out of the hole. And then we got more info there. So we got a little rain from our air conditioning in here. Compression is good on all cylinders, and I've tried external tank just to make sure it's nothing in the tank, fuel line, or bubble. Change the filter. Thoughts?
All right, so I'll tell you this, Shane. Number one, I would, I don't know what year it is or what coils it has on it, but sometimes you can run these and pull the actual, not the spark plug wire off because you'll get shot, but you can pull the connector that connects to the coil, and you can pull one off at a time while it's running on the hose, not in gear, and you need to find out if it's running on all of them. So a lot of times if it's running on all of them and it's still doing that, more than likely you've got a bad either a bad tracker valve, which is in the fuel rail, or you'll have a bad fuel regulator, which is also in the fuel rail, and it can be an air regulator, which is also in the fuel rail. If it does drop the cylinder, then a lot of times it's the coil itself.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you can verify that, get you a spark checker, put it on whichever cylinder that did not drop, if it stayed the same, and then you crank it back up with it all plugged up, and you can see if it starts.
All right.
It shows any spark. So
said it's a 2000.
Okay.
With 300 hours.
Yeah, so that one may be a little bit more difficult to do that type of. You can still do it. You just the connector's a little bit harder to get to, but you'll have a coil driver more than likely, and then a coil. But you don't unplug the coil driver. You have to unplug the actual physical coil to like a 2 or 3 wire connector. I believe. So, all right. So that'll get you in the ballpark. So what you want to find out if it's a global issue, which means no matter what cylinder you unplug, it's still doing it, or if it's a specific cylinder isolated. So,
all right. Well, Shannon, hope that helps. I've got nothing else. So kind of a quiet crowd today, but hey, that's all right. It is a rainy day. Maybe you're in the shop working, or I don't know, just doing something else this afternoon. Yeah. So we're definitely getting close to. I guess I'd say for those of you that are particularly recreational boaters, if you need service into your stuff, go ahead and start calling and getting that stuff scheduled. Be thinking about getting ready for that. What are we saying? Halloween. It's always the first freeze.
Usually when I get froze on.
So the days are ticking. But we still got plenty of good boating weather, especially if you're here in the southeast. Now, if you're somewhere using leaders, maybe not. So,
a leader, a cooler.
All right, guys, y'all have a great afternoon and a great week, and we will try to catch back up with you next week. If you got questions, if you're watching this or you come up with something, drop it in the comments, and we'll try and get through and pull it up for next week.
There you go.
All right, guys, see ya.